Hello, and welcome to Hanratty on Karate. A little bit of Boccherini to open up our recording today. I hope you liked it. If you listen to this complete piece, you'll find there's like different sections at different speeds, different rhythms, and certainly one of the more melodic of Baroque pieces. Boccherini was a pretty good composer, well, amazing composer actually. But why I picked that little bit of music to start off today is because the rhythms and the variances in the rhythms reminded me of Kata. Now, not any particular Kata, just the way the Kata varies in rhythm and speed as you move through it. Now, just want to kind of bring up a little bit about teaching Kata, more along in the instructor's line. Now, there's quite a large section in the Shotokan Instructor's Handbook. You know, if you're lucky enough to get it. If you're not, I believe it's still available on Amazon. And I've probably got half a dozen copies in my office at the club. But it's worthwhile reading. There's different methods of teaching kata, and there's different levels of kata, as we all know. Now, I'm not a great believer in kata competition, simply because a kata is just a training method. But I suppose kumite is a training method as well. However, they can put rules to it and you can get a competition. I suppose you can get a competition from anything, because I've seen one-step sparring used in competition now, which is kind of ridiculous. Just a Jodan Chudan Maigeri technique and then stick up a flag as to who does it better. Kind of pathetic if you ask me, but anyway, that's up to the people who do it. If you get enough people doing it, then I guess they can make it a sport, kind of like face slapping or leg kicking. So getting back to kata. Now, as I said, there's a few levels of kata when you're teaching it. First of all, you're going to teach the rough version, unless you've got people who are extremely advanced and they know their techniques very well. When bringing in or introducing a new kata to an advanced person, it's a vastly different proposition than if you're teaching, say, kids or novices. So basically what I'll do is I will take some parts of the kata out, usually the signature moves, and each kata, if you look at it, has a signature move. In Basai Dai, it's a kakayoke and then a kakomi and spin round into the shito with the kiai point there, you know. So that's the kind of signature move in Basai Dai. Signature move in Heian Nidan would be the Yokogeri Kiagi Uruuchi pull down into Shito. So they've all got signature moves. And what I do is I looked at the applications for the signature movements and I teach them first. So you take it out, you show people this little drill, little two-man drill they can apply with a partner. Now, I understand everybody has a different application for different movements in kata. I mean, what will work for you, or what will work for me rather, may not work for you. If you're 6'5", 200 pounds, and extremely flexible, probably anything will work for you. With me, I tend to stick to what I can make work, and I believe that's what you should. I don't change the technique, I just make it work for me. So it may look a little different than what's in, say, the Best Karate series. I definitely don't aspire to the techniques, applications that are in the Best Karate books. I think Volume 9, Niju Shiho, Sensei Nakayama says if you clap your hands in front of your opponent, he'll make an unbalanced kick, which you then grab with both hands and then complete the technique. That does not work. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't. Much better if you use your Haitouchi to a neck strike, bring the other hand up like you're going to clap your hands, but drive it underneath his advancing punch, which he's going to use for sure, and grab by the neck, then take down using the head, pull the head down towards you. It's going to be exactly the same position, and then finish off with your punch. But this is the way. So if I was teaching Niju Shiho, that would be the point I would start with. That's the signature move in the kata. So having done the signature move and look to see if there would be any more places that people would maybe get a little bit stuck at, maybe a little bit more difficult, then, we would practice them. For instance, if I was practicing unsu, I would maybe start off with the jump, but then I would also practice the drop to the floor mawashi, switch mawashi, and then the coming up into the touch-do position in kibadachi, which I find quite difficult, coming up off the floor after you've done the mawashi, getting up into the kind of crouch position and then pushing out into kibadachi. So there's sticking points in katas. So having kind of brought out the signature move, practiced the application of it, I would then do is show the sequence of the kata. So I'd probably get one of my seniors to run through the whole kata and show just exactly what we were trying to achieve. Now, each kata, to me, consists of several packages of self-defense techniques, which are in and by themselves complete, all right? There's lots of different explanations of karate, like a symbolic battle against imaginary foes is what we were always told in the KUGB, which is quite true. It doesn't say how many imaginary foes or how symbolic the battle is, but it's a good enough explanation, or as good as any other explanation, for practicing kata. It's almost like shadow boxing when you're practicing training for boxing. If you're training for a fight, you do a lot of shadow boxing. You got to imagine what your opponent's going to be doing and just try to improve on what you're going to be doing. In kumite, most of the techniques are attacking techniques. In kata, they all tend to be a lot of defensive techniques. So, read into that what you will. Most of the katas start with a defensive technique. This is more for the philosophy rather than the practice. It's much better to hit somebody if they intend to hit you rather than wait for them to hit you. That's always been my favorite slogan, is attack the intention. You don't have to wait for the action. Okay, defend yourself first, in other words, or kind of sen no sen, really says what you want to do. Now, once you've done the rough outline of the kata, what we can do then is get them to practice it over and over until the sequence is in their minds. All the time, correcting the technique to make sure that the techniques you practice in Kion are encompassed within the kata. They're not changing it just to suit, how fast they want to turn. Make sure they're looking in the right direction, and all of the stuff that I'm sure you all know. If you're looking to teach kata as a novice instructor, go back to how you were taught it. And if it worked on you, then it's probably going to work for your students. So that's the rough side of it. Now, once you've got the sequence down, then you're going to work on the timing and the breathing. And the timing and the breathing, almost synonymous. You have to learn when to breathe in, when to breathe out. Of course, you're going to relax between movements, making sure you have kime at the end of the techniques. The slow movements, it should be emphasized, are not practical. They're there to show balance, power, and breathing technique, and emphasis on the correct technique. So a slow movement, of course, will never work in application. It's just not practical. Nobody ever punches slow, or strikes slow, or throws slow. It's like trying to jump slow. You can't do it. So we put them in to give a sense of rhythm to the kata. And as you know, they're probably missing in the first couple of katas, and then we bring in a slow movement with hei and sandan. And that's your first time you're going to come across it, but it's there for a specific reason. It teaches you balance while you turn, it's your concentration and control of your technique. All right. So there is applications for the movement, but the applications would be done at a much higher speed. So having got the rough points of the kata down and the sequence, what movement comes next, we start to get a little bit more refined in what we're going to teach. And that would be, as I say, the timing, the breathing, where the kime points are. And also, I always emphasize starting and finishing kata correctly. So we open with a bow, we announce the kata, and then we go to the ready or start position, yoi, for whichever kata we're doing. And at the same time, using the yoi position as a little click-on switch to get you in the mood. My feeling is every kata has a flavor. like some people say, oh, they have a color, but to me, they have a flavor. And even if I see an isolated movement from a kata, I can usually tell you what kata it is just by the way that it's performed, even if it's a straight oisuki. But say two techniques in a row, I'll tell you what kata it is. And this is if it's done properly and at the correct speeds. Now, once you've got the fine movements down, keep correcting your students so that the techniques are all done correctly and they're all done in the proper sequence with the breathing. And then the other important thing we have to look at is eye direction, which way you're looking, which way you're facing. Particularly important in katas like Teki Shodan, Teki Nidan, Sandan. But also this comes into in Hei and Godan when you're changing your head position quite fast. And make sure that if you're teaching your kata, you're teaching the correct head position. So many times I've come across people doing like Hei and Godan stuff, or even Hei and Sandan, and they're looking straight ahead when they're striking Uraken to the side after the Mikazuki. Keep your eye on what you're doing and what your opponent's doing. You wouldn't take your eyes off somebody in kumite, don't take your eyes off your opponent in kata. So if you finish, as I say, they're all packages of self-defense techniques. So once you finish with one opponent, get your head round and look for the next opponent or look for the next threat and react accordingly or with the next technique in the sequence. This works very well. And it's a good way to teach kids. Kids like doing kata, but you have to simplify it. If you explain to them what they're doing and why they're doing it, they will do it a lot more willingly and put a lot more into it and encourage questions about it. I always encourage questions on kata because it'll make me go find the answers if I don't know them, and I love finding new stuff out every day. I mean, I'm 80 years old, but it can't stop me learning, right? So after we've gone through the rough section, so to speak, the sequence and, what comes next, and then we refine it to make sure that the breathing and the rhythm are in there, then you're going to try and perfect your kata, especially if you're going into competition and maybe on a national or an international level. You may change the timing a little bit. Sometimes you go look at kata and I'll look at it and it won't be the timing I've been taught or I teach, but I'll go, oh, you did that well. Wow, there was a nice fast turn there, and I usually stop and then go into my next move. I like the way if you want to have a look at the way a kata should be done, olden type, then have a look at Sensei Hanratty doing different katas. Sorry, my music came on then. Have a look at Sensei Hanratty in maybe the 80s doing kata. It's just so smooth and continuous. There's just moving from one opponent to the other. You can see the power in it. You can see the determination. This is the epitome of refined kata. There's none of the subscribed head shaking at the end of a technique, which seems to be endemic in modern kata. It seems like the more they shake their head, the more power they've got. No, they don't. All right? There's none of the exaggerated stops and starts. There's none of the super speed and slapping your own gi for sound effects. None of that stuff. Use it for what it is, which is a training technique. Lots and lots of different techniques that you use to suit the occasion. Many years ago, when karate was being taught in Okinawa, there was maybe 3-4 katas, 5 or 6 at the most, that a person studied for his lifetime. And there's enough in that for you to use as self-defense. You can use it in any situation that you want. So it's not how many katas you know, which seems to be the modern thing. They're introducing all sorts of new katas, and that's fine, okay? But you don't really need them, okay? If you've got your basics and you apply them all the time and work on them, you won't need to know, 300 or 400 katas, which there isn't. Actually, there's less than that, but, I know some styles have a lot, some styles have a few. Goju, for example, doesn't have that many katas. Shotokan's probably in the middle. And then I think Shito's got a plethora. Get your katas refined and get them to where you know the flavor of the kata. The minute you start doing it, you fall into it. It becomes almost second nature. and you're going to get a lot more out of your kata training. And that's all it is, kata training. You can compete with it, as I say. Team katas, the way they're done now, a little bit different. Again, if you want to see good team katas, look for some of the old katas from the 80s. You're going to see a whole different kind of timing, rhythm, but what you're going to see also is really good zanshin. Not fake zanshin, where you're going to get fake stares or over-exaggerated stops, and you're definitely not going to get a demonstration at the end, which often doesn't look anything like what's been done in the kata, just a series of gymnastic falls and throws. Okay, so I say practicing kata, it's a lifelong study, the same as everything in karate, and hope everybody will keep up with it. I do. I love karate, I love kata, I love what it brings out in people. It's a challenge. It's a challenge every day, and you'll never lose that challenge, because as your body changes, your katas will change, everything else will go with it. But starting off, go through the 3 stages, rough, refined, and then kind of elite athlete type, and see how far you get. But wherever you get with it, be happy with it, because it's going to do you good. But know why you're doing it, all right? I'm always big on applications, and applications are all different, and none of them are bad as long as they work, okay? They're all different, but the technique in the kata stays the same. And keep that in mind. Keep the technique the same, all right? So that's it for me. Have a great day. Any questions, comments, queries, free to ask.